Hello everyone, it's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show with me, your host Nigel Seeley, and our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert who's joining us now live from Croatia for this week's Croatian Open over in Umag. Good afternoon to you, Sean. How are things?
Good afternoon, mate. I can't see you, but I can hear you. So
well, that's not a bad thing.
Good.
That's not a bad thing. A lot of people want to do that.
If you want to give me any sort of silent abuse, I won't be able to see it. So it's all fine.
It's fine. How are things?
It's good here, mate. It's good. I mean, if I could turn the camera around, you could probably see the lagoon is just. I could turn the camera around, but it could all go very wrong very quickly. The lagoon's just over there, literally 50 yards away from me. It's super hot here. It's about 30 degrees at the minute. And where I'm staying, it's on the sort of Plava Laguna Resort, which is where the tennis is. So for me to get to centre court from here, it would take about. Well, in this heat, it'd probably take me about 5 minutes to walk there, but it's really not very far. The players are all here. I walked right past Andrei Rublev earlier on. They all have their dinner here. There's a special dinner bit for the players. I saw Senego having his dinner here last night. They're all just knocking about. So it's that's why I wanted to stay here, really. And the other reason is there's a lot of things for my boy to do. He's out playing football in 30-degree heat at the minute, but. Yeah, it's good, mate. Yeah, it's hot. It's very hot out here on my patio, but can't complain. I've been bitten a lot by mozzies. I should just throw that in
already.
It's mozzie heaven here because there's a big old lagoon over there, so there's a lot of mosquitoes knocking about. That's the only downside. I've been bitten quite a lot already, but apart from that, it's all good.
Jesus, well, that's the first time I think I've heard you say you're all good on the trips. You seem to be very happy, enjoying yourself over there, looking good. I'm flying out tomorrow, so I'm heading over to join you tomorrow. But I'm staying about 10 minutes away from you, and up. I think it's a 10-minute walk. I think, but I won't be walking.
There's a little train, by the way. There's a little train. It's not a train as such. It's one of them little, those little touristy trains that are really kind of it takes you right there, mate.
I will not be getting the touristy train. Please.
It's free.
I'm not.
The coffee's free as well. I got free coffee.
I'll walk it. I'll get the coffee, but I'm not getting on the choo-choo train down with all the kids down to the front of the tennis court.
There's hardly anybody on that time in the morning or whatever. You'll be fine.
The tennis starts in the afternoon, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But that train runs until 11:40 at night. So
I might get on it after a few local beers, but I won't be getting on the choo-choo train going down there.
It takes you down from sort of here. In fact, further north of here, down through here. And then sort of round the beaches and sort of straight to Umag. So depending on where you're staying, I don't know where you're staying. I've not really been into Umag itself yet because this is north of Umag. This is sort of Plava Laguna and it's slightly north. So I haven't been to Umag yet. But you can get it. I think you should do. I think you should do a video on that train as well. I think that'd be great.
I'm not getting on no train. I sound like Mr. T. I ain't getting no plane. I ain't getting no train. I ain't getting no train. There's cabs, local cab drivers that take me down. I'm not getting no train.
Well, there are, but this is free. Think of the budget. Get on the train, pop yourself up here, bring Paula up. It's all good.
She can get the train. She can get the train. I'm not getting the train. Anyway, there was stuff about the train. Let's talk about the tennis. We're in good shape. We've got a finalist through. We've got to get some place money. Well, hopefully minimum place money. Arsenal feast obviously in the final. Hamburg up against Alexander Zverev. This is in the time of recording now. The players won't be far to take in the court. I think they might have just taken the court actually. So we're going to show profit for the week last week on our future picks, regardless if he gets beat. But hopefully we've got a free roll in the finals. Hopefully we can cash that ticket and go into Umag this week with a bit of form. There are two tournaments this week. There is the one, obviously, that Sean is in attendance to, and I'll be joining him tomorrow. You'll be able to follow us on Instagram @because we win. I think it should be quite a good week to follow Instagram. Some of the stuff we're going to be doing there. I won't be doing any train videos, but Sean might be. And also, there's also a tournament in Atlanta. But at moment of recording, we haven't got any future prices or any prices. We've got some match prices, but no real future prizes on Atlanta. So we may do a video tomorrow.
We've got Kitzbuhel as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got Kitzbuhel as well. So there is enough tennis to be getting on with this week. But let's start off with the tournament that you're at, Sean, and I'll be there. It's Umag. It's a 250 event. As you said, the weather conditions are very, very hot. Give us what you thought. You've been down watching the players practice today. You've seen the conditions. Yeah. What do you think of it out there?
It's very hot.
Yep.
It really is. I can understand why they don't start playing until sort of 4. They don't start till 4 o'clock. And most of the matches don't start till sort of 6:30, 7:00, 8:00, 9:00 even. It goes on pretty late here. Conditions, I've just got it written down here. Conditions are slow generally here. Averages 73% holds of serve and 67.2% for serve points won. So that puts it slower than Borstad was last week. As I say, the heat is a big factor here. I'm just sitting here on the patio, and I'm not even in the sun, and it's pretty hot. Massetti was out practicing this morning. I got a little photo of my son watching Massetti practice. He's suddenly become interested in tennis all of a sudden out of nowhere. But just going back to the conditions, 27% of the matches feature a tiebreak, so not many at all. The slight trend to the unders, 22.5 games under has cashed 54% of the time in the last 5 editions. A lot of underdog winners, similar to last week. I talked about last week having quite a few dog winners. This week is good as well. 40% of them win in Umag. Now, the weather is going to be hot all week. Let's see if I can scroll down here without breaking anything. Yeah, I can. So it's going to be hot all week, about 30, 32 degrees all week. As I said, the matches start later in the day. Do you want me to go through the trends?
Yes, of course. Yes, please.
Okay, so 2 champions, 1 other finalist, and 4 semi-finalists in the last 9 editions have come from the qualifying draw. So keep an eye on the people that qualify here. We can't talk about them yet because the qualies haven't finished, but do keep an eye on the quali draw. The last time a qualifier didn't make at least the quarterfinals here was 2016. So it's a very, very good tournament for qualifiers. Maybe they just acclimatized to the heat and the conditions that little bit earlier. I don't know what reason it is. Maybe that's the reason. But they always go well here. Only one number 1 seed has made the final here since Nikolai Davydenko won it in 2009. That was Carlos Alcaraz in 2022.
Yeah, and if you look at the winners here, there's been some big name winners. Popperin won it last year with Yannick Sinner the year before that, and Alcaraz as well. Sinner Alcaraz final. So it's been good finalists. This year's Renault isn't the greatest of players. If we look at the list of players, we look at the number 1 seed. Andrei Rublev is the number 1 seed at the top of the draw. Tomas Machac is the number 7 seed in that top half. Serendulu is also in there at number 4. And Matteo Arnaldi, the Italian, is number 8 seed. Lots of Italians, as we touched on last week, lots of Italians make the short trip across to Umag to play, and very Italians get very, very heavily supported. Darderi, another Italian, is in the bottom half, number 5. Holger is there. He's the number 3 seed. Navone come through that epic match against Nadal. That's going to be a difficult one for him to recover from emotionally and more than physically, I suppose. And Lorenzo Massetti, yet another Italian, is the number 2 seed in the bottom half of the draw. So lots and lots of Italians in this draw. I'll give you some lists of the odds, how the betting fares out here with Bet Rivers. The top 4 seeds have bias through to the last 16, like it does in every 250 event. So Rublev, Massetti, Rune, and Serendulu already through to the last 16. Rublev is the favourite, plus 350. Holger Rune is $4.50. Sorry. Lorenzo Massetti is plus 550. Serendulu is 6. Darderi is 14. Machac is 14. Arnaldi 16. Navone 16. Sonego 16. Popperin 20. The defending champion. Coboli 25, Monteiro 25, Lajovic 28, Marizan 28, Fabio Fognini, probably his last Umag tournament. Italian want to go well there, 33-1, and Ajdukovic, the Croatian lad who had a brilliant week last week, lost to Nadal but took the set off him. He is 40-1. Looking at the draw, any preference? I think I would argue that the top half is probably slightly weaker than the bottom half, only slightly. But what is your conclusion of the draw?
Yeah, I like that. I like a couple of players here. The one in particular I like is Arnaldi. This could not age well, by the way, because Arnaldi's playing in a few hours. Yeah. I'm going to go and watch him in a bit. That's my first port of call. I think it's on 6:30 local time. But assuming he gets past Alexander Muller, which he should do, really, he beat Muller pretty easy, very easy at the French Open. Not so long ago, and as you mentioned, Italians do get a great deal of support here. I think I backed him here last year, if memory serves me correctly. He certainly lost in the final set of the semi-finals against Popperin. That I remember. His form's not been fabulous in recent weeks, but I feel like last week was a bit of not a tank exactly, but a sort of half-hearted performance, because a lot of the Italians do save themselves for this tournament, and I think Arnaldi's certainly one of them. He's an obvious choice for me in this top half. Just looking at it here, Sonego, we never really know what we're going to get with Sonego. He could win this tournament comfortably. He could lose in the first round to the Croatian wildcard. Serendolo is also in there. Looked not on it again last week in Hamburg. Lost to Martinez a few days ago. Doesn't quite look right. Machac we'll talk about in a minute. Not convinced about him in these conditions. And Rublev, who seems to be in one of his funks again at the minute. Lost a bad one again last week in Borstad. He's got a habit recently of losing first round matches to much lower ranked players. He looked a bit miserable when he was walking around this morning. Didn't say hello to me or smile or anything, like he usually does. But I think that half is winnable for Arnaldi. I really do. The bottom half is also quite open. I think Musetti's a strong candidate. Obviously, I saw him hitting in the heat this morning, about 10 o'clock this morning. He's taking this seriously. Rune is injured. He had a problem with his knee last week. That maybe he's recovered. I don't know, but I wouldn't fancy Holger Rune in this sort of heat anyway. He's got a long history of struggling in the heat. So Musetti stands out in the bottom half. Darderi we'll talk about again in a minute. I think he's injured. So it could be open. We could see Fabio Fognini. I hope I do see Fabio Fognini going on a run. Obviously, love to watch him go well in what's probably his last Umag. But for me, the each way value is Arnaldi around about sort of 14-1 mark.
You can actually get a little bit bigger with Bet Rivers, but 16-1 Bet Rivers for Arnaldi to win this tournament here. So a little bit bigger price there.
Okay, 16 better, yeah.
Yeah, he's the number 8 seed. He's in the top half of the draw. Starts off against Alexandro and Muller. Then he plays likely to be his fellow countryman, Diego, and then possibly Serendulu. So it's not really that much of a difficult route to get to the semi-finals. And in the semi-finals, perhaps the number 1 seed, Andrei Rublev, has major question marks around him. I suppose Rublev's not happy because I'm not there. Because everywhere I go, I see Rublev. So I think he may be happy when I arrive. I think you might see a different kind of Andrei.
He won't be playing until after you arrive. So he didn't look too happy today, but what day is it? Sunday? Yeah, no, he's not playing until probably Wednesday, Thursday, I would have thought. So you'll have plenty of time to have a chat with him by the time he's
already texted me. He's texted me to see what time I'm coming in. So anyway, he might actually meet me in the airport.
He didn't say hello to me, that's for sure. So there you go.
We go back way back. Andrei Rublev there is the favourite to win it, number 1 seed. But our pick over in Umag is Matteo Arnaldi. If you want to follow myself and Sean over in Croatia, cheering on the Italian, you can do on our socials at Because We Win on Instagram and on Twitter. And you may not know, if he does win, you might see me on the back of a choo-choo train going back with all the families coming back from the campsite. Anyway, let's move on. We have 2 matches we are going to discuss over in Umag as well. The markets are coming available with Bet Rivers. They're slowly progressing, but as the time this video drops, remember the tournament starts now, so starting today, this evening, so Sunday evening. So when you go to the website, you probably have to wait till Monday morning to get the tournament futures, and hopefully Arnaldi's still in there because he's playing today. But we will have these first round matches, and the first match we are going to discuss is Luciano Darderi up against Ajdukovic, the Croatian lad who did exceptionally well last week when he pushed Rafael Nadal all the way in his match. Well, it was in Borstad, wasn't it? Yeah. So this is an interesting one because it's a lot of people like to fade the kid who's done so well, and Ajdukovic has had a brilliant week. But you touched on it there, Darderi could be injured, and you get inside information from the man who's seen him in the swimming pool and in the gym every morning. Darderi's minus 240, Ajdukovic plus 188. The spread is 3.5 here. Ajdukovic plus 100, receiving 3.5, minus 3.5. Darderi minus 138, and the total is 22.5 with under the favourite minus 132, and over is plus 104. Head to the Bet Rivers website. There's about 28 different markets available on this match as we speak now. More will be added throughout the course of the day. But what do you make of this Ajdukovic? He had a brilliant week last week, reached the semi-finals, took a set off Nadal, should have perhaps probably beaten Nadal really when you think about it, but can he replicate that form? And the pressure's going to be on him, but he's also going to have the support, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have the support. This is an opportunity for Ajdukovic. I mean, as you said, he suddenly found his form at main level last week in Borstad. He was 1-5 win-loss at main level until last week, and then he's broken out in Borstad, made the semi-finals, losing to Nadal, as you said, but he was setting a break up on Nadal. This isn't vintage Nadal by any means, so let's not get too carried away. But Nadal did say that Ajdukovic had one of the best backhands he's played against. Now, I'm not sure that's truly accurate, but maybe he's just being kind or whatever. But he didn't have to say that. He could have said, he's a decent player, blah blah blah, whatever. But he said he got one of the best backhands he's played against. He was out hitting Nadal for some considerable time of that match, as I say. He was setting a break up. Maybe he got a little bit bit nervous, probably suddenly thinking to himself, hang on a minute, I've barely won a match at main level and now I'm almost beating Nadal on clay. But I think this is about confidence. This is now his home tournament. Well, it was always been his home tournament, but he's coming here now. The dogs are going. He's coming here now with complete confidence, having broken through at main level. Now he knows he can compete. His service points won and return points won last week was 103 in Borstad, which is impressive. And the other thing I like about this matchup in terms of Ajdukovic, apart from now he's got the confidence, now he's got the home crowd, all that stuff. Those are, it feels like he's on the up at the moment, and it feels like Darderi is not struggling with his game at all. He's playing well, but struggling physically. Had a back injury against Baez last week, not even a few days ago in Hamburg. He was stretched out on the floor, having manipulation on that back. Didn't look good for him at all. And now he's come in here. Yes, he'll have some support, but not as much as Ajdukovic. I just feel like this is a chance for Ajdukovic. He's played here 3 times before. Ajdukovic, he knows the conditions very well, obviously, but this is by far his best chance of getting a win under his belt. He's got that momentum now. He should be coming to this tournament thinking, right, I'm going to show these guys what I'm going to do, what I can do in front of my home fans, and I just think it's an opportunity. I didn't see the handicap marks. Every time a dog goes past, they all kick off. I didn't see the handicaps really, but just Ajdukovic on the money line, plus 188, I think he is roughly with Bet Rivers, because Darderi's not fit. It's very, very hot out here. If he is struggling physically, you would think that there's a higher likelihood of him perhaps just calling it a day in these conditions, which are very, very hot indeed.
Yep, the spread is 3.5 on the handicap. Ajdukovic is even money if you want to place that, or you want to be a little bit more bold, go for the money line. Ajdukovic is plus 188. Head across to the BetRivers website and on their app to be able to place a wager. Remember, if you do place a wager on this match, you'll be able to bet live and watch live with BetRivers. Watch the match on the comfort of your computer, tablet, or your mobile device, free of charge. If you do place the wager on one of the matches on the ATP Tour this week, and let's move on to the second match here in Umag, and our final match here. It's Monteiro against Tomas Machac. Monteiro is plus 123. He's the man who got beaten last week in the quarterfinals by Ajdukovic. He's up against Machac, who's minus 152. Spread is 1.5, minus 104 for Monteiro. Receiving 1.5 games. Machac minus 1.5 games is minus 122. And the total is 22.5 with minus 114 for the unders over minus 112. If we look at these two players, there has been a little bit of money for Monteiro in the last couple of hours. Not surprisingly, really, because Machac hasn't played since Wimbledon, where he got beat by Safin in 4 sets, and his form coming into Wimbledon was pretty poor. If you look at the clay court form for Machac, it's only 8-4 this year compared to 27 wins from an amazing 40 matches for Monteiro. So this is really his kind of surface. He is obviously from Brazil, so the heat's not going to be a problem for him. He's used to the conditions. So no surprise to see money for the Brazilian here, Monteiro, Sean.
Yeah, I'm not sure at all that the odds are right on this with Machac being the favourite. As you said, Monteiro played really well last week. Slow conditions again on the clay in Borstad. A lot cooler there than it is here, but as you also said, I can't imagine that being a problem for a guy from Brazil. You've mentioned a lot of the factors here already. This is Mahac's first match on clay since the French Open. Monteiro's played 7 since Wimbledon. Semi-finals in Salzburg Challenger, quarterfinals last week in Borstad. This guy's coming off a week where he's just beaten Casper Ruud in straight sets on clay at a tournament where Casper Ruud has done very, very well in the past, and a week that Casper Ruud's done very, very well in the past. Dismissed him, really. And his stats are better than those of Machac. Last 12 months on clay, service points won and return points won total of 104 for Monteiro, 103 for Machac. Most of Mahac's good work, though, came where you were in Geneva. Much, much quicker conditions. It's a lot slower here. It's a lot hotter. I'm not totally convinced about Machac in these sort of very, very hot conditions. He's going to have the short shorts on, but I don't think that's going to help him too much. So I just think this price is slightly wrong. I think it should be at worst to sort of pick them, really. We've got Monteiro at plus 123.
Correct. He's getting shorter, though. There is money for him. I don't think he's going to start at plus 123. I think he might start nearer the even money mark here.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, he's better in the last 12 months on clay, as I said. Not by much, but still better. He's had that recent run of matches on clay where Machac hasn't. I just feel Mahac's a better player in quicker conditions. It was quick in Geneva, and he did well there. The flat hitting style that he has, it does lend itself to quicker courts, quicker surfaces, quicker conditions. And this is going to be none of those things. Slow, very, very hot, humid. Monteiro will be used to this, so there's plenty of reasons to back Monteiro here. I don't need a second invitation to back this guy at plus money.
Yep, plus 123 is the current price for the Brazilian Monteiro. I believe that price will go very quickly. So as soon as this podcast drops, you need to head across to the BetRivers website to make sure you get the best odds for the Brazilian in this match. As we said at the top of the show, there's 3 tournaments this week. There's one tournament we haven't got outright prices yet on Atlanta, but they will be dropping on the BetRivers website. The next tournament we're going to concentrate on is not far from there, Austria. It's in Kitzbuhel. We've got another clay event headed by a man in form, Matteo Berrettini, who's just won a clay court tournament for the first time in a very, very long time. Before we come on to the runners and riders and give you the odds over in Austria, Sean, what are the conditions like going to be here in Kitzbuhel? I can imagine slightly different from where you are in Umag.
Yeah, quite different. So there's 762 meters of altitude in Kitzbuhel up in the mountains. So obviously it plays quicker than the usual sea level events like this one here in Umag and Borstad and Hamburg, those sort of events. But obviously it's weather dependent, and the weather doesn't look particularly great. Forecast I've seen suggests that it's going to be raining Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, possibly sort of thundery. So it may miss the venue. I'm not sure. Just I would advise keeping an eye on the weather, because it's similar-ish conditions to Gstaad last week, but Gstaad was hot. So it played quick, and we got involved in a lot of those set one overs. Just take a look at the weather before you dive into that, because it might not be that sort of quick. It averages 78% holds of serve and 71% first serve points won. 38% of the matches feature a tie break, but historically over the last 5 editions, if you're looking at set one over 10.5, which is obviously a bet I quite like in these altitude clay events, just 26% of them have gone over 10.5 in the last 5 editions. So you would need odds of about 3.85 really to justify the historical trend on that. There's no real trend in terms of unders and overs total games. Slight tiny trend to the under 51%, under 22.5 games in the last 5 editions. But it's another big and decent tournament for underdogs. 41% of the underdogs have won here on average. So this tournament here in Umag and in Kitzbuhel, they both offer a lot of underdog winners. Shall I go through the trends on the outrights?
Please do.
Yeah. So again, this is another good one for qualifiers. 7 qualifiers have made at least the semi-finals in the last 10 editions in Kitzbuhel. The number 1 seed has lost their opening match 6 times in the last 11 editions, so they've often fallen early on, the number 1 seeds. But the last 5 winners, not particularly big prices at all. The last 5 winners were all priced between 7-4 and 10-1. There have been quite a few big priced runners up though, so it's always been a decent tournament for the each way. But yeah, not number 1 seeds, very, very sketchy record here. But it generally goes to one of the market leaders. But big priced runners up have been plentiful here at Kitzbuhel.
Let's have a look at the previous winners, and they are all pretty traditional clay courses. I mean, you're not going to get many, it's a sluggers tournament here. Sebastian Baez won it in 2023. He's the number 1 seed, so the negative for number 1 seeds, as Sean alluded to there. Roberto Batista Agut won it in 2022. Casper Ruud in 2021. Kikmanovic in 2020. Dominic Thiem, an informed Dominic Thiem, won it in 2019. So real traditional clay quarters there. If we look at the draw again, like we're saying, in every 250, the top 4 seeds get buys, and the buys are Baez. Baez gets a buy. He's the number 1 seed. He's through to the last 16. He's in the top half. Pedro Martinez is through. He's the number 4 seed. He's into the last 16 as well. In the bottom half of the draw, Echeverry and Tabilo are in there. If we look at seeds, Baez has got Kabash Bainer in there. Borge is in there by Martinez. Laszlo Jerry will play Echeverry, and Offner will play Tabilo. But the man who is in form, Matteo Berrettini, who just won the tournament in Gstaad, he is in great form. Conditions will suit him, and he is in the bottom half of the draw, and he will play Tabio in round number 2 if he gets past Pavel Kotov in round number 1. So he's a big factor in this draw here. And if you look at the odds, no surprise there. Berrettini, the unseeded player, in form, is plus 333 favourite. Sebastian Baez is plus 450. Tabio is 5. Echeverry is plus 650. Borges is 16. Martinez is 16. João Munar is 18. Kabash Baina 18. Diaz Acosta 20. Lazogeri 20. Fuchsovich 22. Kosov at 25. And then 28 to 1 Correa, 28 to 1 Offner, and Seaboth Wild. I think the big talking point about this draw really is, Sean, is Berrettini. I mean, he's the unseeded player. He's had plagued by injury. He's showing signs of getting back to some form. He's won last week. He's played 6 matches. He's looked really good. But now he's got to do it all again in a quick turnaround. And that is a big question mark. And that, for me, is why I don't think plus 333 represents any value.
Yeah, I couldn't go with Berrettini this week. His history of injuries is too long and storied, isn't it? He's had a career plagued by injuries, really. He's the obvious favourite. He goes well at these altitude events on clay. He's won Gstaad, a couple of times now. I think he won Marrakesh as well earlier on in the season, didn't he? That's also his slight altitude, sort of about 400 or 500 metres of altitude there, I think. So he's an obvious choice, but with his injury record, I certainly couldn't back him at that sort of price. I've got one that I like in the top half of the draw, actually, where I think the draw could open up for this guy.
Who is that man?
I'm just leaving you in suspense there for a second. I'm going to take Pedro Martinez. He's about sort of 16 to 1. I think that's an excellent bet. He's another guy that goes very, very well at altitude. Made the final here in 2021. Also won the title in Santiago on clay in 2022. Played very, very well in Hamburg last week. Beat Cerundolo from a set down. Did really well to turn that match around. Made the semi-finals. Didn't really stand a huge chance against Zverev. A fired up Zverev playing in front of his home fans. That was maybe a match too far for Cerundolo. But Cerundolo. For Martinez is already withdrawn from Washington, D.C., which is next week's tournament. And that suggests to me that he's got an eye on winning this tournament. I mean, he should have anyway. Great record here. The altitude suits his game. He's a typical clay grinder, Martinez, but he just gets a bit more pop on his shots at this level of altitude. He's proved it many, many times. And just looking at his draw here, obviously he's got a bye in the first round. That will help, obviously. The first match will be against either Summit Nagal or a qualifier. We don't know who that's going to be yet. Qualifiers, as I've said, do go well here. So, we're not taking anything for granted there. But it's not the toughest of opening rounds. And then after that, he'd be in the quarterfinals where he'd play either Nuno Borges, who's still playing in Borstad at the minute. He's playing Nadal in the final. Not sure if that's been on yet. Don't think it has. So he's got to come from sea level in Sweden all the way up to altitude. Not so easy for him to do after a tiring week in heavy conditions in Borstad. If it's not Borges, Correa or Diaz Acosta. Neither of those two in particularly good form. Correa certainly isn't. Diaz Acosta certainly got the potential to win a 250. At altitude, I'm not sure. He's more of a sea level man. For me, most of his good work has been done at Buenos Aires, places where it's a little bit lower in terms of altitude. So there's a good path there through for Martinez. The number 1 seed is Baez. He just gets overpowered too often. Yeah, he's certainly got a chance, Baez. Was he plus 450 to win this tournament? He's certainly capable of doing it. He's won at altitude before. Actually, Martinez lost. I think Martinez beat Baez actually in the Santiago final I was just referring to. So Martinez shouldn't fear playing Baez at this sort of altitude. I just think he's got a great chance. 16 to 1, good draw. Not worried about the number 1 seed, which is Baez. Okay, if he gets Berrettini in the final, what can you do? You've got to place money at 16 to 1. So I think that's the way to go in Kitzbuhel, certainly for the top half of the draw.
Yeah, I like Martinez. I think you want to be away from that bottom half of the draw because obviously Berrettini will play Tabilo, so one of them is going to go out. There's a lot of dangerous players in the top half. Definitely offers a little bit of value. And Borges, I mean, just to let you know, he is playing now. He's playing Rafa Nadal now in the final, and he's 6-3, 5-2 up. Borges serving for the match at 5-2. So that's going to be if he takes out Nadal,
big celebration coming,
massive celebration, and he's going to be a fade for me, definitely in that top half of the draw. So that makes that Martinez bet even stronger for me. So Martinez is the bet. Have you got anyone in the bottom half, or are we just sticking with Martinez here?
I'm sticking with Martinez. He did play Borges, but it was one of them painful losers we had in Rome. I think we had Martinez, didn't we, to beat Borges, and it went all the way to a final set tiebreak after about 3.5 hours, 3 hours 45 or something like that. And Martinez, I think he choked away a 5-2 lead in the final set tiebreak. So if those two meet, that's going to be a real war of attrition, and Borges is going to be the one that's more fatigued as well. So, yeah, I think he's the pick for me, Martinez, in terms of a clear path to the final. Yeah, let's go with it. 16-1 each way.
16-1. Nice price. Martinez is the bet over in Kitzbuhel to add to our portfolio of bets this week. We are interested in one match as well over in Kitzbuhel as well, and it's an interesting match. Well, it's a very interesting match as far as the Bet Rivers are concerned. They can't really split them. It's Gaston against Altmaier, Hugo Gaston, Daniel Altmaier, 71 in the world, Altmaier 81 in the world, Gaston. Very, very similar-ish clay records. 11 wins this season for Gaston, 13 wins for Altmaier. They can't split them, and hopefully Sean can. It's -112 the pair. The spread, I always say this when there's a pick and match, you can go 1.5 either way you want to go. Totals 22.5 with under, -127 favourite and over even money here. Never met before, but both of these are very, very hard to separate. You clearly like one of these. I tell you, the money has come for Altmaier. The bettors like Altmaier here, and the current price with Bet Rivers is probably what it is. It's the best in the land. So that Altmaier price of -112 might not last a day. Are you with the money or against the money, Sean?
I wasn't aware of the money, but I'm with the money on this occasion. Right. If we look what these two have done the last 12 months on clay, it's a fairly decent advantage for Daniel Altmaier. Gaston, as people know, very, very streaky player, very moody, very up and down. When he's on and he fancies it and he feels like he wants to play his best tennis, then he can, like against Zverev, who he could easily have beaten last week in Hamburg. Gave Zverev all sorts of problems with the drop shot, lob, all the tricks of the trade that Gaston possesses. When he's doing it well, he's great to watch, but a lot of the time he's very, very moody, just doesn't really feel like it. Hence his statistics aren't that great. As I said, last 12 months on clay, Gaston service points won and return points won total 95. That's actually his last 10 matches. I had to go back a couple more matches because he's only played 8 matches at main level in the last year. So I've gone to his last 10 and he's on 95. Altmaier in the last year is on 99. So a 4-point difference in favour of Altmaier there. And Altmaier plays well here in Kitzbuhel. Obviously not a million miles away from where he comes from in Germany. He's 4-2 win-loss here, Altmaier. Made the semi-finals in 2021. Last year was a little bit unlucky. Lost in the final set tiebreak to Daniel Alahi Galan. I think it was 10-8 in the final set tiebreak. But he's 4-2 win-loss here, and his service points won and return points won total here in those 6 matches is 102, which is very, very decent. Conditions here obviously suit his game. His kick serve will go well here. It should cause Gaston a few problems. Kind of a mediocre record against left-handers. Altmaier, nothing to be too worried about, but he's won 3 of his last 4, actually, against left-handers on clay. But you never really know with Gaston until you play him, because he's got a very funky style and it annoys some players. Might potentially annoy Altmaier, might not. I would say Altmaier's probably the more motivated of the two here, playing at a tournament close to his home, knows the conditions very, very well. He's got the better stats. So I'm not surprised the money, if it's coming, is coming for Altmaier.
Yep. Altmaier, and if you want to get that price -112, it's an official pick from Sean here as well. That -112 will not last, so make sure you get across before that match starts. Now, these matches will schedule to play around about 5 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. The order of play isn't known yet, so head across to the Bet Rivers website to find the order of play. Now, there is a third tournament this week. It's another 250 event, this time in Atlanta over stateside. Unfortunately, we haven't got any outright prices because of the time difference when we're recording this. The future market will be available on the Bet Rivers website a little bit later on. But this is a tournament that's been dominated by American players over the years. 10 winners are American since 2010. Defending champion is Taylor Fritz, who's not in action this week. John Isner has won this tournament many, many times. I think he's won it 8 times in the last 12 years. So John Isner's dominated. Obviously, no John Isner this week. No Taylor Fritz this week. But the market is dominated, I expect, to be by Ben Shelton, the number 1 seed. Shelton is in the top half of the draw. Jordan Thompson is in there as well in the top half. Bottom half, Tiafoe, Manarino as well. They're the 4 top 4 seeds and with buys. Joining them in the top half is Shelton, Purcell, Thompson, Davidovich, Fokina. In the bottom half, Nakashima, Tiafoe, Kekmanovic, Manarino. We haven't got any outright odds as yet. Sean, have you looked at the draw at all, or have you just concentrated on the other 2 tournaments so far?
I have looked at the draw, yeah. Do you want me to go through the conditions?
Please.
Okay, so this is the last time that Atlanta will be on the tour. It's lost its license for next year, I believe. I think it's like Newport. This is the final chance to watch this. It's usually very, very hot and humid over there in downtown Atlanta, and conditions are very, very quick as well. There's a hint of altitude about it. There's 285 meters, not huge, but enough to make it even quicker than it already is. You can see how quick it is from the stats. It averages 84% holds of serve, 75.5% first serve points won, and 46% of the matches feature a tiebreak. Again, I've looked into the set one overs here because it's certainly been relevant over the years. A lot of big servers tend to play here, a lot of the American players with the powerful serves and the big forehands. So set one over 10.5 games, 38% of the matches, that's pretty high, have gone over 10.5 games in set one. So that would equal a price of around about 2.63 plus 163. So, excuse me, anything bigger than the plus 163, it would certainly, hold my interest, and a trend to the overs as well because of these many tie breaks and long matches, long sets that they play. So overs, 54% have gone over 22.5 games. Not a fabulous tournament for underdogs. I tend to concentrate on the clay events here in Umag and Kitzbuhel because they tend to always produce a lot of underdog winners. Only 30% in Atlanta. It does tend to go with form. As far as the weather's concerned, it should be about 28 degrees all week, which is fine. But thunderstorms are expected on and off for pretty much all the week, so there could be some delays to proceedings. As far as the trends are concerned, no qualifiers ever made the final so far in Atlanta. The number 1 seed has won the title 5 times in the last 10 editions. Isner won here numerous times. John Isner used to win here quite a lot. No outright winner here has been priced bigger than 8-1 in any of the last 8 editions. So that's a tip in itself. The winner tends to come from one of the top sort of 4 or 5 in the market.
Yep, and that's market. We're waiting for the prices to come out, but I'm sure the market will be topped by Ben Shelton here. It'll be a short price favourites, whether you want to take the short price. It's about Big Ben, who isn't in the best of form.
He's
but
from Atlanta, isn't he?
Yeah, and at least, it's a tournament that favourites do very well in, and I know he's not playing well, but he ticks every box, isn't he, Shelton, really, I suppose. But I have a look when the prices do come out. Remember, these matches will start around about 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. There is play today, but 2:30 p.m. on the Eastern time. Head across to the website to see that. There is one match though. It's called Sean's attention. It's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina up against Artur Cazaux. Minus 163 Davidovich Fokina, plus 130 Cazaux. 2.5 is the spread. Minus 115 both. Totals over 22.5. Both of these players haven't played a lot of tennis in recent weeks. Davidovich hasn't played since Queen's Club before Wimbledon when he got beaten round 1, and Cazaux hasn't played since Wimbledon where he got hammered by Bublik. So they're both going to be a bit rusty. How do you see this one going?
I think it's a decent chance here for Artur Cazaux in quick conditions. As I said, it is very quick here in Atlanta, and he showed us all what he can do on outdoor hard, a quickish outdoor hard in Australia at the start of the year. Played some superb tennis there, and this is even quicker Atlanta than it tends to be in Melbourne. It's a reasonable pace in Melbourne, but this is slightly on the quicker side. We look at what he's done. It's a small snapshot with Cazaux statistics because he hasn't played that many matches, but he's played 6 matches in outdoor hard this season, and he's got a service points won and return points won total of 105, which is excellent, and a service hold and break total of 110, and that includes 92% holds of serve. Big serve Cazaux. Going to cause a lot of problems for the less powerful Davidovich Fokina, who's been struggling for a while with a back injury. He withdrew from Wimbledon, as you said, after playing just 1 match at Queen's. Had a poor season all told, really, Davidovich Fokina. Just looking at his stats on outdoor hard this season, he's played 10 matches on outdoor hard at main level. His service points won and return points won total is 101. And his service hold and break total is just 97. So it's a small snapshot with Cazaux. It's only 6 matches, but Cazaux' stats are obviously a lot better. Shows you what he can do when he's fit. He's had health problems as well. I think he fainted on court, didn't he? I think if I remember rightly, Cazaux. He had a few issues with that. But he went very well in Australia, where it's obviously very hot. So maybe just a sort of fleeting health problem for him there. Davidovich, as I said, not been fit for a while. Hasn't really seemed on it at all this season. His stats tell me that he's not been playing well at all. His stats are some way down on what I'm used to seeing from him. So if I was betting in this match, I think you would certainly have to take Cazaux around about plus 130?
Plus 130?
Or maybe on the handicap. Or maybe on the handicap, considering the guy holds 92% of the time. Davidovich, much weaker serve, gets broken more often, but breaks more often. The handicap is also an option as well.
Yep. Plus 250. So plus 2.5 is the handicap. Minus 115 is the price for Cazaux. Plus 130 Cazaux on the money line. Remember, these matches 2:30 p.m. tomorrow start time. We haven't got the order of play yet. If you want to bet over in Umag, it's 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So a little bit of a later start in Umag. And remember, the early one is in Kitzbuhel, 5 a.m. Eastern time. Game bet match so far on the show. We're minus 0.65, and that is that we put the minimum return there for Artur Fils. So if Artur Fils gets beat in the final today against Alexander Zverev, that will be 0.65. But obviously if he wins, that unit will go up by 18 units. So, and let me know, I said how it's going, Sean, so far. It is 4-1 to Fils with a break in set number 1. So, and he's got a break point to go double break up, to go 5-1 up. So 30-40 on the Zverev serve. So hopefully we can add to those profits and take us into good form. I'm not edging. Listen, it depends it depends if we get the Uber or the train.
I don't need either because I could walk it.
Right, it depends. It's a long way to go. 4-1 at the moment. We're in good shape there. So hopefully we can catch that. Remember to download the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match on your preferred podcast provider. Keep them downloads coming wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Betting Weekly Studios. It's our year anniversary yesterday. A year since we went on standalone. Huge amount of comments, huge amount of views, loads of subscribers, especially since Wimbledon has been going crazy. So thank you very much for everyone's nice comments. Thank you very much for your, well, not thank you for your not so nice comments, but we always respond to anything you say there in the comments box. And obviously just make sure you follow us on Instagram, on Twitter at Because We Win. Sean and I will be in Umag. Well, Sean's there now. I'll be joining him. Well, I'll be live in late tomorrow, so we'll probably catch up on Tuesday for the podcast and do it together. It might be a good idea. We need to speak to how we can do that. If we can get a nice place to sit, nice backdrop, we can do a little podcast tomorrow on Tuesday together.
Wi-Fi is surprisingly good here. The Wi-Fi is like 50 meg here. I don't know how, but it is.
Well, hopefully we can find a nice spot and do it together on Tuesday and Wednesday to give you some information. And of course, Sean's going to be at the tennis tonight, so make sure you get a hold of him on Instagram. We're dropping some bets there in play, giving you some words of wisdom. And I'm going on Tuesday and quarterfinal day to the tennis.
Which is what? Thursday?
Tuesday and Thursday, yeah.
I think I'm there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've got tickets for, so I don't think I'll be there Thursday. But to be honest, you can just turn up. You don't need tickets to go. The only thing you need tickets for is the main stadium. The rest of it, you can just wander about. You can be there all the time. There's volleyball if you're interested. They're playing volleyball in the water, so you've got like a little sort of inflatable volleyball court which got water in it, so you can dive about playing volleyball. Free coffee, as I already mentioned. I don't know whether that was just me walking into the wrong place and just getting free stuff. They might
have thought you were one of the players, Sean. You might have thought you were one of the players, mate. They might even know you're Sean Calvert from Game Bet Match. You never know.
Yeah, possible. I wouldn't have thought so, but you never know. So yeah, it's all good here so far. Yeah, great.
Yep, and that is a positive because I'm Sean to be this.
Apart from the Mozzie.
Apart for you to be so positive about a place, I've never seen that before, especially in the last couple of years. So that is good. That is good.
I'm positive about everywhere that doesn't have problems. I mean, obviously the Mozzie, I'll probably go on about that quite a bit, but good Wi-Fi. You got a lagoon over there, pool. You got everything. So you players walking about.
Now we've done the podcast. We've done the show. Can you turn the camera around so we can have a little look? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Well, let's have a little look.
Sorry.
Look at this.
You see that out there? Hang on.
Look at this. Be careful. Don't fall backwards. Don't.
Oh. So you should be able to see the water there.
Look at that. Nice bit of shade for you. Nice bit of shade. Yeah, look at this. Perfect.
There you go. So that's how close I am to the water. There's my little balcony there. So
look at that. Got the Lilo there. I've got the inflatables. Yeah. Fantastic.
That's Legans. That cost me €25.
Oh, that's the first thing to moan about. That is and that'll be left there. Anyway, that is it.
Joint account, don't worry.
Don't worry. That's been it for Game Bet Match. Enjoy the day, Sean. Enjoy the tennis. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Because We Win. We will keep you covered with all the best bets here for the next week on the ATP Tour. Enjoy your day. Good luck with your bets. And come on, Arsenal Feast. I'll give you an update, Sean. How are we getting on? With 4-1 still, juice on Zverev serve. Take that first set. We're in good shape. But don't cash out. And hedging is for gardeners. Take care.